I thought I would give the advice that I wish I could go back in time and give to my younger self, related to rose growing, that is, and also get me started toward what I hope to eventually do, which is to sell roses and breed them. I will start with a general advice, and then the advice that would have been specifically to me, not necessarily in an order of importance of the advice. First, I would tell myself roses can't read. A lot of labels and books will tell you that roses have to have full sun. Roses will still grow and bloom in less than full sun. You do need to be aware, though, that they may not be as prolific bloomers and may grow lankier and or bigger than the rose bush would in full sun. I've had two of my three 100 plus rose gardens in that were not in full sun, and my current rose garden, depending on the time of year, may or may not be in full sun now. Um, I'd also tell myself, don't go chasing after roses. What I mean by that is to be content with the roses that grow well in your location. Um, if you have a hot, humid summer and a warm winter, probably not gonna be able to grow old European roses such as gallicas, mosses, centifolias, etc., as easily as you could the teas and chinas. I'm not saying don't attempt to grow the roses that may not work for you. I honestly think that if you like the rose, you should try it at least once. You never know what will work, and it may succeed. Um, Also, just because you're growing that specific rose now, it doesn't mean that you can replace it in the future. Far too often, when I had to move rose gardens, I told myself, this rose is available commercially, I can replace it later. But when it came time to replace it, it's either always out of stock or nurseries just are no longer carrying it anymore. Or even worse, there are nurseries that do carry it, but the price, either for the rose and or shipping, um, is cost prohibitive. I'd also tell myself take cuttings and or dig some suckers for the future. That ties into the last point. You don't know if you'll be able to replace it. This is especially true if you have a rose that you bought under one name and it's not that rose. And you're not able to figure out what the name of the rose is. Or you got cuttings, or you did a rose rustle, and you just don't know the name of it. If you have to leave the rose behind, or it dies, and you don't have cuttings or suckers, that rose is gone to you at least. Um, Another thing that I would say is, unless you're growing for rose shows, is you don't have to spend a ton of money on spraying chemicals. Now, I'm not saying the chemicals are bad. I'm just saying they don't have to be a first resort. Chemicals have their place, but let's not go off on that tangent or rabbit hole or whatever you want to call it. Um, I've grown rose plants that have been completely covered in black spot. The plant grew fine. It bloomed every year. It was a once blooming rose, so I was okay with it. I'd also say get involved with rose societies. In this day and age, there's also internet rose forums such as gardenweb.com. It's not called that anymore, but you can still get to it from there. Um, there's a rose breeding forum as well. Make contacts, ask them questions, learn from their experience. The advice that I give specifically to myself for my goals of the selling roses and breeding them would have been to first, and this is actually probably a higher priority, is to make a plan to get a rose nursery going and to sell the roses and to uh, get into the breeding of them. Beyond taking the cuttings to have them in the future, like I mentioned before, um, I would have told myself to take enough to have cuttings to sell now. Um, Another thing would be to sell the roses in farmers markets, get involved in that, and also start breeding and hybridizing now. If it can take a rose a while to get to market, and if I had started breeding roses 25 plus years ago, who knows where I would be with that right now. I'm sure there's things that I probably have forgotten about. Those were the main highlights of what I'd tell myself. If I can think of anything else, I'll probably post stuff on down below in the comments or my blog. If you can think of anything that you would tell an early rose grower, leave it in the comments. Also, if you like the video, click like and help it grow and share. Thank you for your time and have a good day.